Good morning, guys. So it is 7 in the morning, and I am on my surgical term that starts at 8, which is quite late for a surgical term, but this term is actually pretty chill. So we're starting at 8, so it's time for me to get ready. See, I sleep with my hair plaited. If not, it gets all it becomes really knotted up. It anyway gets knotted up even if I plait it, but it's less. So I look, this is my morning face. Here's another fit check for you guys. This time I'm wearing a different scrub top, but I have my pager and I have my name tag because that also helps me unlock the doors and everything. But yeah, this is what we're wearing today, and I'm not wearing my heat tech because it's getting warmer. It's spring now, so I don't really need something under this to keep me warm. So yep. You all know my hot chocolate routine already now, so that is what we're gonna do now, just make some hot chocolate. I actually have a different brand that I'm trying out for my meal preps. It is called the ST Food Code, I think that's how it's pronounced, but there's some honestly I don't know how to pronounce it, Hainanese chicken. Yeah, so we'll try that out and see how that is. Chocolate is done. It looks good. And I always like my hot chocolate, so even if it's not good for anyone else, it's pretty good for me. It's spring, but I still wear my jacket because I still get cold. Sometimes when there's a wind or anything like that, and the weather can be unpredictable sometimes. So I always just take my jacket, make sure that I am warm if I need to be. So that's why I'm wearing this. It's my fit check today. So I'm wearing my long pants and not the cropped ones, and my scrub top, jacket, and I've got my bag. And I always wear my Nike shoes because I find them the most comfiest when I'm walking around, which is what happens most of the time. So they're the most comfiest ones for me to wear. Saying before, it is super windy, so it's a beautiful day, but it's super windy, so it can get a bit cold. So I'm glad I wore my jacket. So masks are still a thing, so I'm wearing my mask, and now we're heading up to the ward. Here I am in the doctor's workstation in the ward. So what I do is I prep notes for all our patients before we start our ward round. That is where we go see all the patients in the ward and in ICU if there are any. I always like to make sure that there's nothing significant that happened overnight, and I also like to look at any new admissions we had overnight. So this way I'm aware of all the patients, and if I have any questions I can always escalate them to my registrar. So we usually start our ward round in the ICU and we make our way up to the ward. The ICU is where we have more of our sicker patients or patients post-brain surgery. During the ward round, there's usually 2 interns and 2 registrars and a special clinical nurse who also rounds with us. During the round, we make a plan for each patient and we make sure they're doing fine and give them an update on what's happening. Our consultant wanted us to come to the operating theatre, so we are heading there now. So this is the operating theatre change rooms. So here we just change into a pair of scrubs. We need to make sure we're in those particular scrubs before we go into the theatre. This is my fit check. This is so that I'm warm and I don't get cold. This is my top, this is my bottom, and I tie my hair up and I put it in a hat. So yeah. just got out of theater and we're gonna head back to the ward. So fun story today. I'm in my theater scrubs because we just came back from theater and we saw the most interesting procedure that I've ever seen, which was an awake craniotomy, which means the patient was basically awake while we took out a tumor from his brain. So this patient was a guy in his 30s and he actually had some new seizures. So they basically did some brain scans and they found out that he has a brain tumor. And the reason why he was awake during the procedure was the tumor is in a part of his brain that is close to his speech area, which is his Wernicke's area, that's what we call it. So when we do the surgery, we need to make sure that his speech area is not damaged. So he was up almost the whole, during the whole procedure. There was a speech pathologist who was there asking him questions, making sure he doesn't have any speech disturbances or go into speech arrest. So that's why he had to stay up. And our consultant actually wanted us to come and see it because it's a pretty cool surgery and it's not something you get to see on a regular basis. So that's why I'm in these scrubs. These are not my normal scrubs. These are theater scrubs. And they're quite comfy and I just wear this because it's like I'm cold all the time. But yeah, I can show you guys a clip of what it looked like. If you don't want to look at brains or blood, just skip over it. But if not, you should check it out. It's coming up next. So this is our tea room and this is where we come to have snacks or to eat lunch, and there's actually a pretty nice view, and again today is a pretty day so you can see all the way up to the mountains. And now it's lunchtime for us and here I am with my co-interns. So I am currently on my neurosurgery term, as I mentioned before, and it's my first surgical term. So it's been quite interesting. This term is actually pretty good. There's a total of 3 JMOs, actually 2 interns and 1 resident, and there's 3 registrars as well. They're really great, which makes the term even better. Other than that, there's 4 consultants, and what we mainly do in neurosurgery is brain and spinal things. We sometimes do some carpal tunnel as well. So the brain surgeries are actually pretty cool, and like I was saying before, we saw an awake craniotomy and that was really cool to see. But other than that, most of the other things they do brain tumors again, like the one we saw, and they also sort out malformations like aneurysms, so they can either clip it or coil it, and that's what they normally do. And those patients usually go to ICU post-op because any brain surgery they usually are sent back to, they're sent to ICU for the recovery period. But the outcomes have been pretty good. Of course there can be complications in certain cases, but so far what we've seen, it's been pretty good. So overall, I'm really enjoying the term and I'm really liking it. And the team is really great. The patients are pretty decent as well, as in they're not super complicated. Some of them have been in here quite a while, but overall it's been a really good term and I'm really enjoying my surgery term. The spine ones are mainly for people with chronic back pain and things like that. So they usually need some kind of decompression or some fusion done in their spines. So they usually go for rehab, which is where they get physiotherapists to look at them daily, make sure they do exercises and can get back to walking normally. So that's why they usually stay longer in hospital, because they need to make sure that they're back to their normal baseline of walking and moving around before we send them home. But the procedure overall is not as complicated as the brain ones from what I've heard, but it depends on the surgery as well. So right now what I'm going to do is take some bloods from a patient. Usually we have blood collectors who come down every morning and take bloods from all the patients in the ward that need bloods collected. But if they can't take it, we usually have to take it just to make sure the patient's bloods are fine, make sure they don't have an infection or anything like that, and making sure their electrolytes, which is their sodium, all of that stuff, that's fine. So let's get on to that. So all the tubes we have, this is usually for blood group, this is for electrolytes, this is for the coagulations, this is for blood count, this is for thyroid tests and all. So we get that one, we get a kidney dish, get a tourniquet, a forgot a needle. The blue needles, the butterflies, are the smallest, so they're the least painful, so I usually get that. Other than that, we get a syringe to collect some blood, we get an alcohol swab, and I'll get a cotton wool and also some tape so we can tape down the place after we prick it. But yeah, that's about it. So I just did some bloods for this patient, and I'm just putting on my gloves to transfer the bloods to the test tubes. So for her, she was just post-op, which means she had her surgery yesterday. So we're just checking her bloods to make sure that there's nothing wrong with them before we send her home. It was not a major surgery, so she does not need to stay in hospital for too long. So for her, I collected the purple tube, that is the full blood count. I also collected a green tube. From the green tube, the results we get are usually her renal function test, and we also check her electrolytes. So that's like her sodium, potassium, and we also check her calcium, magnesium, and phosphate. And once the bloods come back, if they're all good, then she can go home. This is how you know that the term is quite chill, because I only got, okay, my battery is low. I only got 3 pages for the day, so that's pretty good. So since it's nearing home time, I just go over the list and make sure there's nothing else that we've forgotten to do, or if there's anything else we need to hand over to our evening JMO, because he or she will be there until 7 p.m. Hey guys, so I just got home. I'm in the lobby area, actually just waiting for the lift to come down. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So this is kind of what a surgical term looks like for me as an intern. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please give this video a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more of these videos. And I've also linked here my day in the life in a medical term, because that's a bit different to how this is, but it's overall, both of them have been great, and I can't wait for the next few weeks of this term. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you guys, like I said again, enjoy this video. So I'll catch you guys next time. Stay tuned for more vlogs and more Q&As, and if you guys have any other video suggestions or ideas, please let me know in the comments below.